they were performing the traditional different dances of the different tribes, from Zulu to Butch's Xhosa, right? Did I do that right? Okay. And just all the different styles and.
Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with the lovely Sasha Reivers and Corbin Bleu. Thank you for agreeing to film with me.
Of course.
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask you guys about your experience in Africa.
We've been here for 2 weeks now. Oh, actually, not even a full 2 weeks. We were in Dubai for 3 days and then Africa for the rest of the 2 weeks, which was split up between South Africa and Zambia. And South Africa, we also got to go to Kruger National Park. It has been a packed 2 weeks. Just trying to go back and think on everything we've done. We've literally done something from like 7 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night every day. So sleep has not been on the agenda for this trip, but we have done just about everything else. I think for me, it's probably the same for you. Just the animals, seeing the wildlife has been one of the coolest experiences, just because that's something we truly don't get to. At least the types of animals that you have here, we do not get to experience back in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, we were almost getting used to seeing an elephant. We're like, oh, it's just an elephant. But yeah, I definitely think the safari, staying at Kruger, which I've heard so much about, even in Zambia, when we were staying in Livingstone and seeing the animals just walking around the grounds, it was just beautiful. It was everything that we'd hoped for as far as getting to spot nature. It was just all right in front of us, which was amazing.
At Kruger National Park, we did like traditional camping in tents, and there were hyenas just roaming outside the tents.
I went to the bathroom just to brush my teeth, and I was walking out, and I don't know why I looked around. I just kind of did one of these, and right outside the bathroom, like 5 feet away, was a hyena staring at me. And I just stood and stared back, and I like slowly walked back into the bathroom, and I told my friend Lisa, I was like, there's a hyena right outside the bathroom. We poked our heads out, and he was still staring at us. And so we just had like a little stare off, and you hear so much about hyenas being these crazy animals, and it was actually really sweet. He kind of just turned around and walked away. We screamed and ran because she spooked me, but
they get a bad rap.
They really do. They're so cute and really smart. But yeah, anyway, so we just learned so much. We got to do a night safari where we got to really use our spotting skills with the flashlights and stuff. That was really cool. Yeah, have you done safari?
I have, just not at the Kruger. I've never been to the Kruger.
Where have you gone on safari?
In Zambia.
In Zambia. Got it. Is there a spot that if we ever return to Zambia that we really should go to?
Well, Zambia is more known for like crocodile farming and like specific animals more than like just everything. So I've done more like camp stuff here where it's like a lot of animals, but in Zambia it's more like crocodiles and stuff. But then in Zambia also like the lions.
Yeah.
Lions and elephants. Really yeah.
They're pretty amazing. Speaking of crocodiles, tried crocodile for the first time.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
That was crazy.
How was it?
So I've had alligator before, which you can find in certain spots in the US. Yeah, especially Florida. And I was expecting similar tastes, but they're so different. I mean, even just the textures. I find alligator to be closer, it could taste like chicken, but I found closer to be to chicken, with a little bit more of a tough taste. Whereas crocodile, super, I guess because it's more fatty, I just found the texture to be more of like a fish. It's very, very soft and very, light, like breaks apart.
I didn't eat it, but that is what he said.
Yeah, I mean, we tried so many crazy different foods. I think one of my favorite though is malva cake.
Yes.
Because the malva cake out here is really, really good.
Really good,
Yeah, it reminds me of sticky toffee pudding. back
Have you
home.
had sticky toffee pudding?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I prefer more.
You prefer malva, of course. Of course, you always prefer what is comfortable, what you're used
Yeah,
to.
it's delicious.
Yeah. And then we had a traditional braai. And that actually was some of the best beef that I've ever had. I don't know what they did to it, but they just cooked it perfectly and it was seasoned perfectly. You guys are like your meat here. We learned that there's no word
For
for
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
Are there vegetarians here?
There are not that many. Like, you'll find like pescatarians or people
Got it.
like in between, but yeah, it's not really common.
So,
Wow.
because we're from Los Angeles, you know, you have a very, very large
Vegan.
vegan
Not even
population, not even
vegetarian.
vegetarian, but vegan population, yeah. So
There's
it's
always a vegan option in California, so
Yeah.
it's just it's
so
very
different. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Even like for breakfast, I've never gone to a breakfast buffet. Usually you go to a breakfast buffet and you have bacon and then sometimes you have a sausage option. And there was like, you had bacon, you had like 3 different types of sausages, there were meatballs, and it was like for breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, there's all these different meat options. And all different types, all different kinds of animals from, you know, gosh, obviously pork and beef, but then there was always kudu, and then there was zebra at times. Yeah, not for breakfast, but there was zebra at times. Yeah, just culture shock. So different. Yeah.
And that's one of the other questions I wanted to ask you. What is really different about South Africa or Zambia that you don't find back home or that you'd like to take back home? Yeah.
This is going to sound really cheesy, but like the memories of the animals is something I will take back home with me for sure. Something I've always wanted to do. And it was just, I said it last night, but just waking up at 5 in the morning and getting out of my tent and listening to the sounds of Kruger was just one of the most peaceful things I think I've ever experienced. And then seeing something in the distance, and then you look through your binoculars and it's like an elephant and a baby elephant, or monkeys. And we've just had really cool encounters.
I've got one. So I've always grown up a dancer, and the freedom
Oh, I have
in African dance.
Don't take it.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna tell the story about I don't know if I'm gonna take it or not. Well, we went to in South Africa, in the cultural centers, and funny enough, so they were performing the traditional different dances of the different tribes, from Zulu to, not butcher this, Xhosa, right? Did I do that right? Okay. And just all the different styles. And there was this troupe of Chinese gymnasts that happened to be there. And so all of the Africans invited everybody in the room to come and dance, but it just so happened that the Chinese gymnasts all just like swarmed the floor. And
It was
like, oh my God, battle of the cultures, just to see the gymnasts, especially Chinese gymnasts, everything was so technical and so rigid, and everything, you could tell everything was very precise.
Like their leg was up here, and it was.
And even the facial expressions, everything was serious and so determined and focused. And then you had the Africans that everything was just movement and fluid and free, and like even the joy in the facial expressions. It was just so crazy to see the two cultures clash when it comes to dance. So that was a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, I was saying
wanted to take
that
home.
the performances, you guys, Africans take performance so seriously. It doesn't matter if it's on the stage or if it's just for a dinner party or something. Every performance we saw, they gave 100% with the dancing, with the acting, with the singing. And then what I was gonna say is the women here are all so natural. I love it so much because they're wearing, first of all, they're wearing like either like a little skirt with a little like bikini top, and they're not sticks, they're real bodies.
Yeah.
And they're dancing and they're sexy and they're doing it, and they're also very powerful. Like they're dancing as strongly as the men are. Because you know, because I feel like in the States, or definitely in LA, there's such a, what am I looking at? Image is so important, and it's the wrong kind of image. And even dancing, it's always, it always seems to be about getting attention as opposed to telling the story, as opposed to just feeling it. And I felt so comfortable in my body dancing, and because these women and men just were dancing to dance and just to tell a story, and their bodies were natural, like a normal body. And I said that to him a million times, like, this is amazing. I wish it was like this at home. Well,
especially, you know, back home you think about a style of dance where somebody's gonna, for instance, somebody's gonna toss themselves onto the floor, you know, and they're gonna do like a somersault and smack down onto the floor. You know, it's not something that you will find particular women that will be able to do something like that. It's not on a whole that everybody does that style of dance, and that's what I found here. That the men have, you know, obviously, usually when you see men, especially in a tribal form of dance, there is always a very aggressive war feeling to it, like hitting your chest and smacking on the floor, but you don't tend to see that from the women a lot, and that is not the case here. All the women here, it's just as strong, it's just as war-oriented, and the strength and confidence, in that is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I'm gonna take away. Yeah, for sure.
And do you see yourselves going back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like we just skimmed the surface. I feel like what was cool about this trip was that we got to do so many things. So now, if and when we come back, I can say I really liked this, but I only got a day here, so I want to stay here in this market and explore this more, or I want to spend 5 days at a safari. I want to travel to different places in Africa. So yeah, I definitely see it.
Yeah, if you're comparing it to like wine, and you got a flight of wine, right? And there's all the different little types that you got to sample. That's sort of what this trip was. So now it's like, all right, I liked this one, I'm gonna get a bottle of that. That's sort of how I felt.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, I love it when you come back. Let me know, and I'm always able to take you around.
Thank you.
Especially Joburg. No, Joburg, I feel like a man.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And do seconds and a different city for you to visit. That would be really nice.
Definitely. Definitely.
See all the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. When you come to the States or Canada.
Or Canada. Yeah, that's true.
LA, for sure.
Yeah. And I know your sister's out there too. Yeah. That's awesome. That's cool.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again for having us. We had an amazing time.
I'm happy that you came. Thank you so much for watching my video. Stay tuned for next week.